There have been many things that are different about teaching online, but I have a confession. I miss whiteboards. And yes, I even miss all the silly things that students would say and do alongside having the whiteboards out in class. Now, I've discovered a platform which will help soothe this whiteboard itch, and it is Whiteboardfi. And it's a platform that you can use alongside online lessons to gauge understanding of the whole class. Now, what happens is when you sign up, you get a free trial, and it means that you can set up your class on there and just post the link into the chat of your team's lesson. The students then will get on their whiteboard whatever you push out to them. So in this instance, you can write or draw or upload something that you've pre-prepared if it's a slide and push it out to students. Now, what students will see is only their whiteboard, and they'll see whatever you've pushed out to them. What you see is this screen, and you'll see all their names, you'll know whose is who, and you'll be able to gauge understanding just like in a classroom of who has understood, who's got the answer correct, who's confused. The best part about this, which just using Teams lessons alone doesn't account for, is that students can't see each other's. When you're getting students to perhaps like statements in the chat or interact on a poll, they can see what the rest of the class have voted for. This, however, relies just on them. Another thing about being in the classroom and getting a gauging of understanding from the group that I've been missing is sticky notes. And sticky notes can provide a lot of information. It can be just to gather ideas, to have a brainstorm, or it can be about gauging understanding and getting each child's input and knowing that they're interacting with the lesson. So Padlet is a really good way of setting this up. You can once again put the link into the chat for the students. They write their names, so you know whose is whose, and then you can gather a whole collaboration of ideas together. This is particularly useful in more practical subjects where you might want to get initial ideas in a mood board together. You can put pictures involved as well. You can lay them out differently. They've got lots of exciting layouts. As a historian myself, something that I find really useful was you can lay them out into a timeline format. So that really helps when you're trying to do tasks a little bit differently from just your basic sticky notes. Other platforms that you're probably already aware of are things like Seneca. Now, Seneca already has a lot of content for a lot of exam boards, and it allows you to set tasks, and the tasks include little mini quizzes all the way through. After a student has completed a section, it will give you the time that it took them to complete the section, what their average score is, and what they got for each of the units. Because this is already pre-prepared for you, and you just need to check that you're using the right exam board, it's really helpful with workload, but also a good way to just check what has been understood and obviously give some formative and summative feedback to students. Something that we find really useful as we've been going through online teaching is simplicity. And although there are lots and lots of brilliant platforms that we can use in our lessons, it's also good to remember that actually sometimes the best thing you can do in a lesson is make the task very explicit. Some students have really enjoyed having a task slide which is a different colour from the rest of the presentation or lesson. This means they know exactly what they need to do, and you can refer them to the coloured slide for what the main purpose or the main focus of the lesson is in terms of their output. Not forgetting sixth form in all this. Sixth form have really benefited from the independence involved with online learning, but there are a few other things that we can consider which we would normally do in the classroom. So having group work is really important, having them collaborate and talk, so let's not forget breakout rooms with sixth form classes as well. Another thing that I've been trialling recently is encouraging oracy from the students and getting them to not only see but listen to other students or you. Something that's nice to trial is getting a student to read something out which has got inaccuracies in it. They can either pre-prepare it themselves or you could give them something. Other students then have to write down what the inaccuracies are. This ensures that there is concentration, students are accessing information in a different format from just reading it, and also gives students the chance to explain why things may be wrong. This has been interestingly tested in maths, where people have explained their workings out, and other students have had to pinpoint when things would have created the end mistake. Something else which we always try to promote is obviously the students' confidence, and presentations and presenting to each other shouldn't go amiss just because we're teaching online. Presentations can still be put together either by a shared document on Teams or file where they can all add slides to each other, or by them creating their own PowerPoint, sending it to you, or you can make them a presenter. In doing this, students, whether they go on camera or not, will have to unmute and present to others. We find that a lot of students have actually built their confidence this way because it seems less intimidating to them than standing up in front of a room of people, but they're still having the benefits of presenting.